Welcome back to that build. Today I'm continuing progress, obviously, of my Porsche 911 Turbo Replica. What I've ended up doing since the last video was do the other side, which I was going to do straight away, but I ended up doing that a lot better in comparison, and then I ended up redoing this side even better still. If you don't know what I'm referring to, if you didn't watch last week's episode, what I did was make these inside structure pieces just for a bit more structural strength. This side, however, I made a real bit of a hack of it, and I really was not satisfied looking at it. When I did that side, I realized that a single cut was just as much, if not more than what needed to be able to bend it into a shape. So I ended up doing a lot of slots, and then therefore that's made a really nice contour and curve. That in itself is substantially stronger compared to the near slice that I took out of this side here. So I've ended up doing that side, redoing this side. I'm way happier with it because this way now I'm not missing huge pieces of metal I've got to account for. I literally have slithers. So what I'm going to start doing is welding these up, making sure they're in this shape exactly as they are. I managed to cover the holes as well, so the holes are nearly completely covered compared to last week, where it was way off. So they'll be grinded down, which will be starting right now. Then I'll be welding up along all the cuts and everything like that, ready for removal. After that, I'm not welding them in just yet. I'm still a ways off doing that. But what I am going to start to do is flip this over and then get it back on the ground, because we're going to start to move back into putting a space frame on. So first off is obviously weld these up, flip the pan, my favorite thing, and then go from there. So these turned out absolutely brilliantly, in my opinion. They look exactly, well, they look like bent metal basically, but at the end of the day, they are there just to help things with supporting the space frame. And yeah, it's adequate enough. I mean, it is substantially thick steel, way thicker obviously compared to the pans alone, which is pretty much where all the weight was resting on. It's not ideal. So having these just to brace it from the top to the base, which is realistically where the bug body will be, just makes things so much nicer. Slotting that in there and get that in, and that all lines up spectacularly. So that is in there. All it needs to be done now is, when I flip the pan over, drill the holes and then put in some cross tube, and then of course job be done. So yeah, I'm still a little ways off that. I am in the process now of thinking things through for the next step, and of course that requires flipping this pan back over. What I've come to realize, and this seems to now be the norm, in that in building stuff and rebuilding this thing, it's taking way longer compared to stripping something down, which you can be as crude as you like in most situations. Rebuilding it is a completely different process, and it is taking double the length of time to do one job. The thing I'm at now is that I need to flip this thing again and again and again, and that is quite troublesome for the fact that typically I am solo here trying to do this, and it is getting heavier and heavier and bulkier in trying to turn this thing around. So basically chatting to a couple of people online on one of the groups, and more or less making a homemade rotisserie is going to be next on the cards, and I'm going to try and do this in a way that's not going to take up much more space than what it already does. I've already got something in mind, and it was due in fact to someone suggesting something that someone else had done with a couple of sawhorses, and I do apologise for your name now. I was going to look it up beforehand, but here I am rolling, so just winging it. But at the end of the day, I need to get a couple of face plates, one for the front, one for the back, in order to make basically a jig that I can keep spinning this thing over and over again. It's just getting far too complicated to try and lift this thing up and flip it every single time. And by the fact as well, I've got to work around these pans now, which I didn't beforehand. I could just basically pivot in the center section. I had two attempts in which I could do that, and now that's out of the equation. So these episodes are going to get shorter as such, and the fact of the matter is that I can't really do much about it. It is taking me at least 2 weeks to try and plug one thing out, which for me I'd rather be going weekly. I am still making progress, just not as quickly as I'd like. Long story short, the build will go on. I will be getting to a point of being able to flip this again soon. The next episode for this may be actually making this rotisserie system, and I've got something in mind. We'll see how we go. I've just got so little space and I can't really go any further over. Yeah, so we'll see how we go. That is pretty much this episode. So no, we're not doing anything in terms of flipping the pan today. No, we're not doing anything in the front end or the actual steering assembly or anything like that. This is the episode today. So the bars are installed, they're done. If you like the idea and you're going to do it for your own Beetle, I do advise it is a really good upgrade. How much strength it adds, I don't know. Whether it's really worth it for an actual bug body, probably not. In my situation, it is, in my opinion, required. So with that being said, that's it. So thank you very much for joining me. As always, like, subscribe, comment below, etc. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbor that I'm going to think of a standard punchline, catchphrase, end phrase, whatever, in the future. It's getting hard trying to think of different things every time, and it's not even really fun anymore. So anyway guys, until next time, cheers.